Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sewphia. So today what I thought we would do is a lion crochet pattern for this guy right here. So this is going to be worked in basically two parts. So the body is one part, the head is one part. So the only bit of sewing you'll actually need to do is attaching the head onto the body. I've also made this in a different colour, which I think I actually prefer this colour. It's giving me like Mufasa vibes. They are both the same pattern, but it just depends what colour you'd like it in. I will be making this one again. And I have also made the lioness version of this pattern, which will not be in this video but is available for buying on the written pattern in Etsy. Let's get started. Okay guys, so what you're going to need first of all is some yarn. So for the kind of base colour, I'm going to be using Honey Bunny in colour 9. For the mane for this line, I am going to be using again Honey Bunny Hobby colour 12. I am also going to be using cream. This is Honey Bunny again for part of the face, for the muzzle. You could use cream or you could use white, that's up to you. And you're going to need some acrylic yarn for the face, so I'm going to go with dark brown for that. You will also need some stuffings, just make sure you've got plenty of that around. You will need some stitch markers. You will need a pair of scissors, a sewing needle, and you will also need a 5mm crochet hook. And you're also going to need some safety eyes. I am going to be using the 16mm eyes for this. And they look like that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start with are the ears. So you'll need to make 2 of these. So you're going to start with a magic ring. And you're going to want to do 6 single crochet into the magic ring. Okay, and pull that nice and tight. Okay, and place your stitch marker on the final stitch. And now you're going to do an increase into each of those 6 stitches. It's 9 and 10, and with stitch marker 11 and 12. Oh, 12. Okay, so you should have 12. Okay, so you should have 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. And then again, place a stitch marker on the last stitch. And now what you're going to do is 1 single crochet into the next stitch. And an increase into the next one. You're going to follow that pattern all the way around. So 1 single crochet and then an increase. 1 single crochet and then an increase. 1 single crochet and an increase. And keep doing that all the way around. And at the end of this round, you should have 18 stitches. Okay, and that is what your ear should look like. Okay, And then if you just slip stitch to fasten it off, grab your scissors, and you don't need a long tail because we are going to be crocheting it in, not sewing it in. And that is one ear. So you're going to make 2 of them in the same way. Okay, and now that you have got both of your ears, what I suggest doing is getting a sewing needle, and this bit at the back, if you put that through your sewing needle, and you want to just sew it through gently so that it comes out at the same bit as that other tail, and it's going to be hidden inside of our line. And again with the other one. Sew it through so that it comes out at the same side. Okay, and then that means that we won't have any loose tails when we put it onto our line. Next thing that we are going to do is our tail. Okay, so what you need to do is make a slip knot, and we're going to chain 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. And then we are going to work single crochet back down this for 15. So you skip the first stitch and go into the second one. So 1, 2, and all the way down. I'm playing yarn chicken here, obviously. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Hopefully 2 more chains. Oh. Okay. Just, I think. Managed to get away with it there. Right, so once you have got your tail, now this is going to be the bottom of it, and this is going to be the part that we are hiding inside of the line. Okay, so this is going to be the part that we want to add our tuft to. So I'm going to use this kind of chocolatey yarn. And my other line, I've used this colour yarn, which I actually prefer, but I'd like one of each. So it's completely up to you whatever colour you would like to do. We're going to slip stitch to the 13th chain. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to in here, and we're going to chain 1. Okay, and what we're then going to do is something called a loop stitch. Okay, so what that is we're going to pull that down like that. So I've just used my thumb to pull this down. Now, it doesn't need to be particularly long. They won't all be exactly the same size, and that's absolutely fine. And then you're going to slip stitch into the next chain on top of that, and that should give you a little loop. Okay, so do the same thing again into the next chain. So pull down with our thumb and slip stitch, and we're going to do it again. So pull down with our thumb into the next one and slip stitch, and one more time, pull down with our thumb and slip stitch. Okay, so what you should see is that we've got 4 little tufts here. So we're going to repeat that on the other side. So chain 1 and turn over, and you'll see that we have this little row of slip stitches. So that's what we're going into this time. So again, pull down with your thumb into the first stitch, slip stitch, pull down with your thumb into the next stitch and slip stitch, pull down with your thumb, into the next stitch, slip stitch, one last time, pull down with your thumb, into the next stitch and slip stitch. Okay, so that should give you, take this out, 4 on one side, and again they won't all be the same size and that's absolutely fine. You can kind of play with them until they look right. So that's one side, and the other side should have 4 as well. You can see this one has ended up a bit longer, which is fine. Okay, and then we're going to cut this off. And we're going to pull it through. So now we have got 2 ends, and what I tend to do is tie them here just to make sure it's extra secure. You will not see the knot or anything like that. It will be disguised because it's fluffy yarn. Okay, and then we need to sew in these 2 ends. So grab your sewing needle. And we tip this fluffy yarn, see when I'm trying to get it through the needle, I basically pull off the end of it so I can just see these. And it helps me to get it through so much easier. So when you're sewing through, it doesn't need to be like exact or anything. I tend to just feed it through these slip stitches. And then at the end, again. And then you can cut that off. And the same with this one. Okay, so you should hopefully have managed to get a wee tail there. This is the tuft, and this will be the side that we will crochet in when we make the body. The next bit that we are going to do is the legs. So obviously you are going to need 4 of these. So we are going to start with a magic ring. Everybody does a magic ring a wee bit different, but that's okay as long as you get to the same end result. So magic ring, and you are going to single crochet 6 into the ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we can pull that nice and tight. And again with the stitch marker, you mark the last stitch. We're going to do an increase into each one of those stitches again. So that's 1 increase, 2 increases, 3 increases, 4, 5, and 6. So you should have 12 at the end of this round. Okay, and mark your stitch again. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is a bobble stitch. All right, so what you want to do is basically like a double crochet, but you don't finish it off. So we're going to yarn over and go in and pull through 2 loops. But you're not going to then pull through the 2 loops like you would in a normal double crochet. You're actually going to yarn over and go back in, pull through 2 loops. You should have 3 loops on the hook. And you're going to do that 3 more times. So yarn over, pull through, and pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And last time, so I end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on my hook. And then you're going to yarn and pull through it all. So you should end up with a little bobble there. And then you're going to do a regular single crochet. And then repeat again with the bobble stitch. So it's 5 times that you want to do it to end up with 6 loops on the hook, like I've got here, and pull through. So you can see now that I have got 2 bobbles. So I want 4. So again, we're going to single crochet just in between each one. And again, we're going to repeat that bobble stitch. And single crochet, and one last time. Okay, and single crochet. So what we've done there is bobble stitch, single crochet 4 times. And to finish it off, we are going to do 4 single crochet. So 1, 2, oh, that's on there, 2, 3, and finally 4. And mark it again with our stitch marker. Okay, so after that, what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 single crochet, 1, 2, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease. So we're going to go in the middle of the first stitch, in the middle of the next stitch, and then we are going to yarn, pull through both, and pull through both. Okay, and we're going to do that again. So in the middle of the first stitch, in the middle of the second stitch, and we're going to pull through both and pull through both. Okay, so that was 2 decreases we just did there, and then we're just going to do 6 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and you can just pop your tail inside there, and again mark your last stitch. Okay, this time we're going to start it the same way, so 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, and then we're going to do another 2 decreases, another decrease like that, followed by 1 single crochet, and then we're going to do 2 increases, so it's 2 single crochet in each stitch. So 1 increase, second increase, and then 1 single crochet at the end there. Okay, so you should now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches. Okay, and then we're going to start it again, 2 single crochet, 1, 2, and then we're going to do a decrease, just 1 decrease this time. So again, in the middle of each one, and then 6 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and last one will give you 6. Okay, so that should give us 9 single crochet, and that's what we want. And then after that, you're just going to do 4 rounds of 9 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that is our first round. and you're going to do that 3 more times. Okay, so I'll see you back once you have done those 3 rounds. Once you have done your 4 rounds of single crochet, this is what we should have. Okay, so what I want you to do is now cut off the yarn. You do not need to leave too long a tail because we're going to be crocheting this in, not sewing, and pull that through. Okay, and I would add the stuffing at this point. Okay, now careful not to overstuff because then it's going to make it too sturdy, but also don't understuff because then it may be too flimsy. All right, so you've really got to try and get the balance right. Okay, so I would say that looks pretty good there. Okay, and we're going to need obviously 4 of these in total, so repeat what I just said 3 more times and I'll see you back. Okay, so I have got my 4 legs done. Okay, so what you're going to need now is your 4 stitch markers, and we are going to mark on the legs the stitches that we need. So on your first one, if you mark the second, so 1, 2 is the second. On the next one, if you mark the 6th, so here, not so clear in this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to mark the 6th one. And on the last 2, if you mark the 9th, so the final stitch that you did on each one. And this is going to help us when it comes to attaching the legs to the body. Okay, and the next part that we are going to do is the body. So you're going to make a slip knot and chain 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then work 10 single crochet back down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then we're also going to work 10 single crochet on the opposite side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You're going to mark your last stitch. Okay, so you should have 20 stitches in total all the way around. And we are going to do single crochet increase. So on your first stitch, it's a single crochet, then an increase, single crochet, then a single crochet, and then an increase, and all the way around you're going to do that pattern of single and increase. And that should give us 30 stitches in total. Okay, and this time you are going to do the same thing, but you're going to do 2 single crochet and then an increase all the way around. So single crochet, single crochet, and increase. Oh, and increase. Single crochet, single crochet, and increase. Single crochet, single crochet, and an increase. Single crochet, single crochet and an increase, and keep that all the way around. Okay, so that's made my last one. So single crochet, and we should finish on an increase. And this should take us to 40 stitches now. Okay, and again, mark your last stitch. Now, this won't necessarily lie flat at the moment, and don't be too worried about that. You can kind of flatten it out with your fingers. Once we start adding the legs and making it into a body, it will begin to form shape. Okay, so we're going to start adding the legs now. So the first leg that you are going to need is the one that you have marked the second stitch on. That is going to be our front right. Okay, which for me is this one. So we're going to start with 2 single crochet across the front, 1 and 2, and then remove that stitch marker, but remember that you're going into the second stitch. So feed through 1, 2, and then you're going to crochet that through like that. Okay, and then keep following that round. So then you'll be going into the first stitch and into the next stitch here, and pull through both. And you're going to do that for 2 more stitches. So now I'm going into the 9th stitch here and the 8th stitch. There. Okay, so just double check that it is facing forward, because you don't want it to be facing back the way or anything like that, and then you don't realise until it's too late. Okay, so just make sure when you hold it out like this that it is facing forward. Okay, and then we're going to do 10 single crochet just on the body. So make sure you go into that one. I'm going to skip that one. We're going to go here. We're going to miss that one out because that one is crocheted there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and you are going to get the leg now that has marked the 6th one. That's going to be our back right. So this is my 6th one that I've marked. This is the one that I'm going to be going into to begin with. So into my 6th one and into the body, and that's the first one attached, and then keep going round. So then I'd be going into, I don't even know which one, so that's the 6th. I'm now going into the 5th one for this one, then the 4th, and then the 3rd. And again, just double check that it is facing forward like that. Okay, so it should look like that. And then we're going to do 2 single crochet in the back. So 1 and 2. And we're going to attach the next leg. So either one is fine because we're both on number 9. So through the 9th stitch, the one we finished on, and through the body, and single crochet on. And then we're going to go into the 8th stitch and through the body, and through the 7th, through the body, and through the 6th, and through the body. Okay, and again, just make sure it is facing the right way and in line with the other back one, which it looks like it is. Okay, and again, 10 single crochet in between. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And we're going to attach our final leg now. Again, we're going in through the 9th stitch. So through our 9th stitch and then through the body. So it's the final 4 stitches you'll see. And so that's my first one. Swatch that tail there. Through the 8th. Through the 7th. And through the 6th. And our final stitch there. If you mark that last stitch here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet around, okay? Now this is going to be around the legs and not around the body, okay? So we start by going around the body. So like this, single crochet, it's normal single crochets. And then we're going on to the leg, okay? Now, you'll see in the corner here, you want to go into this stitch, not this one. Because if you go into this one, there's going to be a big hole, okay? So into this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way around into that same one again, the other side. And then we'll go into here. And keep going all the way around. Okay, so again we've reached the leg. Want to make sure we're going into that corner stitch first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and again into that corner one, 7. Okay, and at the back we're going to go for 1, 2, and 3, and just keep going all the way around, and I will get you back once you are done. Okay, so at the end of that round, once you have single crocheted around each of the legs, you should have 60 single crochet. In our next round, we are going to do 13 single crochet to begin with. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that should take us to around about here on the body. So then what we're going to do is decrease, single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease. Okay, so decrease. So again in the middle of each one, pull through, single crochet, and decrease, single crochet, and decrease. And that should take us to the next leg. And then we're going to do 9 single crochet. and then we are going to do 1 decrease just at the back here. And then another 9 single crochet. And then again we're going to do the same pattern of decrease, single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease. So this will be my first decrease. First single crochet, second decrease, single crochet, and the last decrease. And then to finish it off, we are going to do 11 single crochet. And in the next round we are going to do single crochet, increase, single crochet, and increase. Then we're just going to go around for 51 single crochet. So I'll see you back once you've done that. Okay, and at the end of that round there, we should have 55 single crochet. So what you're going to do now is just 3 rounds of single crochet for the 55 that you've got. Okay, so all the way around, and we're going to do that 3 times. So I'll see you back once you have done that. Right, so hopefully you have done those 3 rounds, and now in this next round we are going to be adding the tail in, but it's not just going to be single crochet. We are going to be doing 3 single crochet and an invisible decrease. So make sure you've got your tail to hand. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and a decrease. 1, 2, 3, and a decrease. Oh. 1, 2, 3, decrease, and continue this all the way around to the back, where we will be adding our tail. Okay, so now we're at the back. I've landed on a decrease. So we're gonna pop it through our tail and decrease here. And then I'll be back to my 1 single crochet. There, and we just continue on. So 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease. 1, 2, 3, decrease. 1, 2, 3, decrease. One more time. 1, 2, 3, and finishing on a decrease. So that should give us in total 44 stitches in total. And the next round is going to be very similar. We're going to do 2 single crochet with a decrease. So 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, decrease. So you're going to do that all the way round. Okay, and once you have done that, in the next round we are going to do 1 single crochet to start us off, and then we're going to do 3 decreases along its chest just to bring that in. So that's the first one, second one, and third one. Then again, we are just going to single crochet around the rest of the body. Okay, and at the end of that round we should have 30 single crochet. So for our final round we are going to be doing single crochet decrease, and that should bring it quite far in. So single crochet, decrease, and just repeat that all the way around. Okay, so we're now at the end, and what you're going to do is cut off a long bit of yarn. So we're going to be sewing with it. And before we sew this shut, we're going to need to stuff it. Okay, so make sure your tail is on the outside. Just make sure that your stuffing gets into the legs, the top part of the legs that maybe didn't get as much stuffing because we were crocheting with them. And by making sure that there is some stuffing in there, that will help to keep the body shape and keep the legs sturdy enough to hold it up. Right, okay, so now that you've got it stuffed, we are now going to sew it. Okay, so what you want to do is find your first single crochet, and you're going to want to go on the inside of it like this, and then find on the other side and go on the inside like that, and pull it nice and tight. And then same on this side, so the inside of this single crochet and the inside of this one, and nice and tight. And just keep doing that, just making sure you're always going for the inside one, because that will just give you a cleaner look. And just keep going all the way to the end. Careful not to catch your stuffing in it. And then in the last ones, that was quite hard to see, is there. Okay, you can see my legs are pretty flat just now, but that's okay. And then feed that through the body so that it is hidden, and you can trim that off as such. Okay, now our line should stay standing as long as you have got enough stuffing in it, but the look that we kind of want it to have is slightly perched at the front, slightly kind of down at the front, giving that kind of cat-like look. Okay, and that is the body with the tail at the back. So the last thing that we need to do now that we have done the body is we are going to do the head. Okay, so you need to make sure that you have got your ears handy now, because we are going to need them pretty soon.